I first found out that I was going to be contacted by DCF because I received a voicemail from a worker at the DCF office. She stated to me that there was an allegation against my fiance for sexual abuse against my child. When I first received the phone call after I hung up from speaking to DCF, I immediately went into my bathroom and threw up. I couldn't believe the allegation. My fiance is probably one of the most amazing people I've ever met. My child is safe, has always been safe. It was a complete nightmare. I couldn't breathe, for days following that first phone call. I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't sleep. I was constantly worried every time my phone rang. I didn't know who was going to be on the other end. It was completely horrifying. I was completely terrified that the Department of Children and Families was going to come into my home and take my child over a false allegation, something that DCF had no truth or fact to even back up. I couldn't even fathom the idea of the department being involved in my life. I have raised my kids to be happy, safe children, and my fiance has done the same. And I couldn't believe that we were even in this situation at all. The idea of my children ever being placed in foster care where I couldn't see them and speak to them and hug them and make sure they're safe every day, it would have completely destroyed me. I would not survive without my children. That they're all I have. Like they're my entire world. I truly don't know how my children would survive that. They have been in a home with a loving, caring family that's always been there to provide them with everything they've ever needed. We've never been apart. The idea of my children ever being taken out of my house that's a completely foreign land for them. They've never been away from me for longer than a day. They were together always. When I finally got past the emotional shock of the initial phone call from DCF, I immediately went online and started doing research on how to appropriately protect myself and my children and my fiance. I spoke with Attorney Seaver's office and came in for an interview with Attorney Seaver, and what set him apart from the other lawyers that I had been in contact with was his professionalism, his experience with the Department of Children and Families. He has 25 years plus of, direct contact with DCF and DCF law. I felt as though his office was the most qualified and, professional in my dealings with them right from the start. When I first contacted Attorney Seaver's office and left a message, it was less than 2 hours before I received a phone call back. Attorney Seaver immediately invited me into the office for an interview the following day, and it was actually a weekend that I went in to meet with him, with Attorney Seaver. I had called Attorney Seaver's office and left a voicemail. It was probably 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. I had just come home from work, left a message with him, and I received a phone call back about 9 p.m. that Friday. And that following morning, which was a Saturday morning, I was in the office at 10:30 to meet with Attorney Seaver. It was less than 12 hours. None of the other lawyers or offices that I had spoken with met that time frame. Everyone else, it was days beforehand, and there was no availability for the weekends or evenings. And, being that myself and my fiance work, pretty extensive hours, it was important to have someone that was flexible to be able to meet with us and stay in constant contact. From the very beginning of my contact with Attorney Seaver, when the very first visit from DCF started, he was extremely professional, very courteous with myself, my family, my fiance. With DCF, he was very thorough in his handling of all of the information and all of, the case that DCF was alleging that we were dealing with. At no point did I feel as though Attorney Seaver was unprofessional or unkind to anyone we were dealing with on a regular basis. In the beginning, DCF seemed to be very, courteous and understanding of us as well. As we moved through the case process, it became apparent to Attorney Seaver right from the start that though they had a job to do, they weren't doing it very well. It was obvious that they were mishandling our case and our information pretty much from the start. DCF was, although very, kind and professional when they were, in my home and speaking with us, myself and my fiance and my child, it was very apparent to me that without Attorney Seaver's help, a lot of the missteps that DCF was making, your standard everyday person would not have known. And that's where his professionalism and experience, was a really big win for us right from the start. Right from the beginning, from the first contact we made with Attorney Seaver when he first came to meet with my child, with both of my children, from the very beginning, they were comfortable and he was very professional and nice to them. They felt comfortable speaking with him. My children, started to sort of refer to Attorney Seaver and his staff by first name as if we'd known them forever. It was nice to see someone that was advocating for the rights to my children as much as I was, as much as my fiance was. Attorney Seaver was protecting my children as much as we were protecting them. Throughout the entire case with DCF, Attorney Seaver and his legal staff were extremely thorough. They hired the best of the best to support us and to fight this allegation, which was obviously false from the very start. They made sure that Attorney Seaver and his staff made sure that there was no stone left unturned, that there was nothing that they didn't thoroughly discuss and provide to the Department of Children and Families throughout the entire case. Attorney Seaver and his legal staff spoke with family members and professionals that handled our case in the most professional manner that they could. And throughout that entire process, everyone Attorney Seaver pointed us towards and helped us speak to, they were wonderful. In comparison to the other lawyers and law offices that I had spoken with, Attorney Seaver's office and his legal staff were the only ones that knew exactly what to do and how to do it right from the start. There was no questions for us as far as what we were going to need to do or how we were supposed to move forward. He tailor-made a plan right from the beginning, and nobody else that we had dealt with as far as lawyers or other offices were concerned, nobody had any idea what to do. And right from the beginning, Attorney Seaver and his staff knew exactly what they were doing. Myself and my fiance are completely thrilled to finally be a Kevin Seaver success story, just like the ones that we saw on his website and discussed with him multiple times throughout our case. My advice to anyone that has been contacted by the Department of Children and Families for an allegation as serious as sexual abuse would be to get on the phone and contact Attorney Seaver and his staff and let him work his magic and tailor make a process for you like he did for us, because he was the most professional lawyer I've ever dealt with, and I am so very grateful for all of his help. That's the phone call you need to make.